Everyone, have you ever wondered why your box cakes sometimes end up tasting better from scratch? Honestly, baking's a science and this can be for various reasons. But today I'm going to show you a nice quick hack that is not only budget friendly, it's easy, anybody, super versatile. So today I'll be teaching you how to make simple syrup. Now, you're going to need just a couple ingredients. You probably already have them on hand. So you'll need 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water, and you can use a flavoring ingredient if you like extract emulsion. I personally prefer it. It does enhance the flavor. But this is just a base recipe that you can kind of play around with once you get used to it. Now for your tools that you're going to need, you're going to need a small to medium sized saucepan. Something like this is perfect for this ratio. If you're going to make more, obviously, use your better judgment. You're gonna need a spoon, a fork, a whisk, something to stir it. I personally like to use a fork, but that's just me because I hate it. So then we're also gonna need a sheet of plastic wrap that I have off to the side right now. You'll also need to have your cake layer pre-baked, cooled, and leveled, just so you shave off the top so that it's perfectly straight when you add your layer so your cake isn't lopsided. So to get started, all we're gonna have to do is combine all of our ingredients, so our sugar and our water. And again, if you have a flavoring agent, you can add that too. So it's going to look kind of like that. It's just sugar and water. What you're going to also do is you're going to put this on medium to high, should work great. And then you're going to keep stirring it until the granules are melted. Now, right now, I'm not going to have this cook all the way because all we want for it to do is for the sugar granules to completely melt, this to combine, and it to be a nice, thin, clear liquid, such as this. This is about how much that ratio makes. And now there's multiple ways you can do this. Some people prefer to do it with little squeezy bottles, kind of like the ones you use for hair dye with a little nozzle. You can do it with a brush. I like to do it with a spoon. I feel like I have better control that way. It's, again, all up to preference. So what this does is, let's say overbaked your cake a little bit, or maybe it doesn't have a lot of flavor. What you're doing is adding moisture and sealing that in. Box cakes tend to have a perfect measurement of everything, including the fat ratios, but some from scratch recipes don't have that. And yes, there's ways to substitute, but if you're still a beginner, it can be a little tricky, and especially if you're stacking cakes, when you substitute things, it may not have a strong base structure to stack. So this is honestly, I feel like the easiest and best way to kind of enhance that. It's a dry cake, it adds moisture and it seals it in without making it soggy. And if you feel like your cake just doesn't have any flavor, it pitches in more of that flavor if you decided to add. Also, simple syrup can be used to make drinks, whether they be virgin or you want to add a little alcohol, but that's a topic for a different day. So this is what we're going to do. So I just take spoonfuls and I like to put it all over the cake. I want to completely saturate. Now, one of the things is when you level it, you're cutting off that top layer so that it can get in the cake. Because that top layer kind of almost serves as like crust in a way, and it's not going to absorb it that. So you see how I'm taking spoonfuls and I'm just kind of spreading it and making sure everything on top is saturated. And then as you keep doing this, you're gonna obviously, some people, I know in Latin culture we have a cake called ponque. It's a pound cake. And when people request it, they always tell me, "Oh, I want my cake bien mojadito," which is wet. And not wet like a tres leches, but just to have that moistness melt in your mouth. That's how I prefer my cake textures to be. But I'm telling you that once you kind of get used to this, it's gonna be your go-to hack. So once you're all done with this, you're going to take your plastic wrap and you want to wrap the cake and seal it. One of the things that I forgot to mention is you definitely want to make sure that your simple syrup was cooled just as your cake was. Make sure everything's at the same temperature so you don't introduce any bacteria. So once this is wrapped all the way around, put aside, let it sit for about 15-20 minutes, and then you can proceed to do your fillings and do those to your other layers of cake. Now remember, 1-to-1 ratio, make sure it's completely saturated on top. Make sure everything is completely cooled in the same temperature and have fun. Get creative. I promise you, this is going to be your go-to hack to have your cakes tasting like it's from a. Thanks so much.